Between Coffee and Songs, a romantic comedy, new keys, old walls. Valentina Rivera stared at the mountain of boxes in her tiny Madrid apartment and sighed. The room smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and fresh beginnings. She dropped her keys on the counter, rolled her sleeves up, and approached her most precious cargo, her upright piano. She ran her fingers across the keys, each note echoing softly in the empty room. She was here to prepare for the most important audition of her life, a spot in the Madrid Philharmonic. Everything had to be perfect, no distractions. Unfortunately, someone on the other side of her bedroom wall hadn't gotten the memo. Click, 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 tap, click. She frowned. What was that? Typing? Valentina placed her ear against the wall and listened. A muffled male voice drifted through. Okay, if the dragon doesn't appear in level 4, the script won't trigger. Damn it. She smirked. A gamer. Or worsey game developer. With a mischievous grin, she sat at her piano and played a quick, cheeky tune, anything too loud, just enough to be heard. Seconds later, 3 knocks came from the wall. She laughed and shouted, "You knock like a squirrel." The wall responded, "You play like Chopin with caffeine addiction." She burst out laughing. Madrid was already more interesting than expected. Coffee grounds and code. The next morning, Valentina headed to the corner cafe for espresso and churros. As she returned to the building, a man in sweatpants and a faded, "I paused my game for this hoodie," held the front door open for her. Their eyes met. "Wait, you're the squirrel knocker," she said. "And you're the caffeine Chopin." "I'm Valentina," she said with a raised brow. "David," he replied, still holding her gaze. They both laughed awkwardly. "I'm sorry about the piano," she said. "I'm preparing for an audition. And I'm sorry about the clicking. I'm a game developer working remotely on a big deadline. Our walls are basically made of tortilla." She grinned. "Well, then maybe we should make a deal. Quiet hours and music truce?" "Deal," he said. "As long as you don't play any more Phantom of the Opera at 2 a.m. I was feeling things. They shook hands, her fingers cold. His warmed for the briefest second. It felt like more than a handshake. The note wore. 1 week later, the truce was dead. It started with her playing Rachmaninoff on repeat. He countered by playing EDM remixes through his speakers. She retaliated with a note slipped under his door. "This is a classical household, sir. Skrillex has no place here." He responded with, "Tell Rachmaninoff to stop brooding. It's depressing, my NPCs." The notes escalated. "Your coffee grinder sounds like a dying raccoon. Your vocal warm-ups sound like opera goats." One afternoon, she came home to find a peace offering. A cup of coffee from the cafe, placed gently at her door with a sticky note. "I surrender. Also, this is the strongest brew they had. Please don't kill my boss in your nextitude." She grinned. It wasn't just the coffee that warmed her. Accidental dates. Their friendship developed in weird ways. They never officially hung out, but they kept ending up in the same places. The laundry room, the elevator, the supermarket. And somehow, they always ended up talking. One evening, Valentina was running late for a rehearsal and spilled sheet music all over the hallway. David knelt to help, gathering pages. "Wow, this is intense," he said, skimming the notes. "Looks like your piano's about to have an emotional breakdown." "That's kind of the point," she said, brushing hair from her face. "You pour everything into the music." He looked at her, seriously. "And what if you pour so much in that there's nothing left for you?" She blinked, caught off guard. "I guess, then someone has to pour you a coffee to refill you." He smiled. "You're not just Chopin on espresso, you're philosophical Chopin now." The almost kiss. One Friday night, the power went out. Madrid was in the middle of a heat wave, and the blackout turned the building into a sauna. Valentina wandered into the hallway with a candle and bumped literally into David. "Candles? Really?" he teased. "Romantic emergencies call for ambiance," she said. They ended up on the roof, escaping the heat, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the city glow under the stars. She told him about her mother, who used to hum lullabies while cooking. He told her about his first game, coded at 16, featuring a cat with laser eyes. They laughed, talked, fell silent. Then, in the thick night air, David leaned closer. "Valentina," he whispered, "you're kind of hard to ignore." She didn't move away, and just as their lips nearly met, the lights came back on. "Damn it," he said. She laughed, cheeks flushed. "That was almost romantic." "It was romantic," he said, "until the universe cock-blocked us, the misunderstanding." The next week, David grew distant. He blamed work. She tried not to take it personally. Then she saw him at the cafe with another woman. Pretty, blonde, laughing. Valentina's heart sank. When they met in the hallway later, she avoided his gaze. "Valentina." "No worries," she said quickly. "Looks like you're busy. I'll keep the piano down." He frowned. "Wait, are you?" But she was already inside her apartment, the door softly clicking shut behind her. She sat at her piano, fingers frozen above the keys. That was the thing about falling for someone through a wall, you never really knew what was on the other side. Wall of Feelings. That night she played. Not angry, not sad, just honest. A melody poured out of her, soft and searching. Notes that rose like questions and fell like sighs. On the other side of the wall, David sat, listening. He hadn't been on a date. The woman was his project manager, visiting from Berlin. And the truth was, he missed Valentina more than he'd expected. He grabbed a sticky note. Play that again, I need to feel something. He slid it under her door. A moment later, the music stopped. The door opened. Valentina stood there, hair messy, eyes shiny. I was jealous, she admitted. It was stupid. He shook his head. No, it wasn't. I was scared. Things with you. It feels real. They stood there. No piano, no keyboard, just air between them. Then at last he kissed her. A month later, the wall between them still existed, but now it held pictures, notes, and silly doodles. They had breakfast in her kitchen, dinner in his, and shared headphones on the couch. Her audition day came. She was nervous, pacing in a black dress. I'll be in the audience, he promised, rooting louder than anyone. She smiled. You better clap like your life depends on it. She played like never before. Not for perfection, but for love. And when she looked into the crowd and saw David's ridiculous handmade sign, Valentina for Philharmonic Queen, she laughed mid-performance. And somehow, it made her play even better. 2 years later, they moved into a new apartment, no shared wall, just one big open space. Her piano sat near his desk, and sometimes their sounds overlapped. But now it wasn't a war, it was harmony.